Please like, share, and subscribe. What is going on, guys? So as you can see, the Range Rover is back from the shop. For those of you that haven't seen part 1, 2, or 3 of this video, this is part 4. And just a brief recap, we bought this salvage title Range Rover, and we are in the process of rebuilding it, and we had a lot of issues with it. So it was listed as run and drive. It had a couple issues we got fixed. I won't dive into all of them, but where I'm at now is I had replaced the integrated transfer case module, and I didn't have any of the diagnostic tools to reprogram that module. So I had to take it to a local shop, which was a nightmare. But I'll go through some of the processes of what faults it fixed, what exactly it fixed, and some of the pitfalls to avoid if your Range Rover is having these issues, and some of the things to avoid and stay away from. But yeah, so let's get into this. All right, so first, the issues it was giving, the faults it was listing on the dashboard. It would list HDC fault, transmission fault, limited gears available, special programs off, suspension fault. And when I hooked the scan tool up on it, I was getting all kind of invalid communications with modules. So vehicle dynamic module, hill descent control, vehicle stability control, safety restraint module. I was getting all kind of invalid communications with those modules. Now, I replaced the integrated transfer case module and took it to a local shop to get programmed. Now, this did fix all of the faults, all of them. I'll explain with a little asterisk, okay? I no longer have any of the communication faults because that program is intertwined with, that module is intertwined with a lot of the other modules in the car. So once I got that program to the vehicle, it established all communications with all the other modules. So all those modules, all those faults are gone, all right? So as you guys can see, all the faults are removed. The HDC fault, the transmission fault, the special programs are still off because I need to replace, I believe, the compressor and maybe a valve block. But also the symptom that I didn't mention before, if you can see, so that one's lit up. But prior to getting that module program, all these lights were flash, and I would not be able to select any program. Now, as I said, it's still off. I still can't select any program because of the suspension fault. But however, these aren't flashing anymore. So these all were flashing before. The hill descent control, all these were lit up. The low, raise and lower, all these would flash, and they would just stay flashing, and I wouldn't be able to do anything with it. Now, I will say what they had an issue with. If you plan on replacing this module, for one, I put in a used module. So I used the same model part number and replaced it with a used module, and I got very lucky. But I'll explain. The Land Rover actually came out with an updated module, so the pre-existing part number is not the same. You can actually get an updated module. It's brand new, and it has a new part number. So do a little bit of research and find that. I would recommend you putting in a new module. Now I'll explain why. As I stated before, the modules are programmed to each individual vehicle, and they have VIN data, and they also store faults from that vehicle. So if you replace if you replace that module from a different vehicle, not only does it already have pre-programmed selected shift points for the transfer case motor, right? But it'll also store faults that were already on the vehicle. So when you start the car, when you start your vehicle with that module, it may not only transfer over some of the faults, but it will have different shifting points for your transmission, essentially, okay? So if you do replace it, even with a new module, I highly recommend that you do not drive the vehicle, okay? I got very lucky. They said that my transfer case motor was frozen, and they were actually able to do an adaptation and allow it to free up and shift again, essentially. And they were able to program it. They were able to program the module and get it to basically adapt to my vehicle, okay? So I got very lucky, but I would highly recommend you guys stay away from used modules. Just spend an extra $150, get a brand new module, because I paid $125 for my used one, and I think a brand new one is $250 or $300 from Land Rover directly. So I would recommend spending the extra money. I just got lucky. If they were not able to program this module, I would have been sad, man. So yeah, if you do replace that module, please have it towed to the shop, like we did. Luckily, I just drove it around the block a little bit. I never really took it over a mile per hour and let it, shift through gears, because it could have been, I could have did a lot of damage to the vehicle. I do recommend you replacing the module yourself, because it's about a 10-minute job. You pull the battery, there's 2 little plastic clips, swap out the connectors, pops right in. It's 10-15 minute job to replace the module yourself. But I do recommend, if you're going to have it programmed, take it to a shop. You can do it yourself, but do not drive the vehicle. Essentially, have it towed. So let me talk a little bit about how much it costs, okay? So when I was in Texas, I spoke to a Land Rover dealer. Now, I wanted to reprogram the transfer case module and update any software, okay? Now, they quoted me to do all that $400, all right? Now, when I came out here to South Carolina, I found an independent shop. Mind you, it's the only one in the area. The other closest Range Rover service is a Land Rover dealer, and it's about 2.5 hours away from me, okay? So this was pretty much my only option. Now, I asked him the same thing about reprogramming the transfer case module and updating any software, and he quoted me about the same. I think he said $430, okay? Now, I went back later, because mind you, that was to update the software also. So I went back later and I asked him how much it would cost just to reprogram the transfer case module, and he quoted me between $90 and $250. Now, I mentioned before to beware of shops. Beware of these independent shops, because I understand they have overhead and they're trying to make money also. But this gentleman quoted me between $90 and $250, and then essentially gave me the runaround and tried to inflate my bill to $730, okay? Now, he did a bunch of shady stuff, went back, had my phone number, but insisted on not answering my calls and calling my wife and letting her know that the bill was, So he ended up letting the vehicle go for around $350. But yeah, that was close to a nightmare. It could have been a lot worse. And, he could have tried to take us to court and all kind of craziness. But so yeah, you guys just beware. Make sure you do some good research on the shop and look at the reviews and make sure that it's a reputable shop. Now, it did fix all my issues, so the only thing left is my suspension fault, which they believe it may be a compressor or valve block, which I'll fix myself. I'm not going to pay $3,000-$4,000 to have them do it. I'll pay $400 or $500 in parts and do it myself, which will probably be the next video. On top of that, also, I don't know if you guys saw from when I fixed the ride height sensor, but whoever replaced that connector, that wiring to the wiring harness, they actually used a thicker gauge wire, which I believe is causing, resistance with the thickness of the wire, is causing invalid communication with that ride height sensor. So I showed you guys, I actually got a different, a used new harness from the junkyard with the correct length of wire and thickness gauge. So I'm going to be replacing that, and I'm going to be replacing that compressor and valve block, and that'll be the next video. But other than that, I drove the car back from the shop. None of the other faults are valid, are showing up. The only thing left is that suspension fault. All the transmission faults, gear selection, HDC, all that's gone. So the only thing left is to get the suspension to raise up, and this car will be good to go. We can run and drive it every day. That's the only thing left. We'll get this thing back on the road. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this video helped some of you guys with some of the issues. Now, keep in mind that these Range Rovers are very complex, and you have to really do, I went through about 1,000 other things that people were having the same issues before I found one that related to me. So you kind of got to do some, find out what's wrong with yours independently, and things that you know are good, kind of mark them off the list and go through each thing, because yeah, these vehicles are really complex. But yeah, next video I'll go through a breakdown of how much I got into this car and how much it costs. I know one of you guys said I need to sell my house to fix this thing, but fortunately it hasn't been that bad for me. I think, you know, we were a little nervous at first, but overall it's coming around. It's not too bad. So but thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and keep updated. Part 5 coming soon. Thank you guys. Take care.